Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Football Funders. This is the last FPL game week. I'm not sure if I'm excited or sad. I'm definitely sad that I'm not going to have these discussions weekly, but I'm also, a little happy that I don't have the stress over my head of who do I change every couple of days. In today's episode, looking at this big final day of the FPL, we have Karan Bavari coming back with us, who's still around the 50,000 rank worldwide. That's still the top 1%. So he's got some really good tips for you. And we have Annie, who's on the other end of it, but he's slowly climbing out of the relegation zone in his mini league.
What do you mean slowly? I've leaped and jumped. I was 3 million in the world. I'm in that 1.5 million now.
Thanks to tips from both the Karns. Thanks to tips from both the Karns. Annie's helped himself out of that relegation. Maybe we'll be able to help you. So moving on, like for today's episode, we know there's a lot of managers are going to be using their free hit chip. We think that it's going to be around 1/3, and that's represented in this group with Bavari being the one using his free hit. We think there might be some of you going with the triple captain, and Annie is that one using the triple captain. There might be some of you with bad planning who have nothing for the last game week, and that's me. So we have everyone covered. I'm going to start off with Bavari and ask him, what are the main fixtures that you're going to look at the last game week, especially with some players have nothing to play for, some have everything to play for?
So very exciting game week. I think this more than ever. Like you said, Karan, it's a little tricky. The last game week, there's sadness and there's happiness. You want to get it done, and obviously you want to continue. But come back to the fixtures. I think there's some very good fixtures that are lined up for this Sunday. One's Chelsea Wolves. I'll start with the Chelsea fixture. There's so much to play for. They both need their points. Chelsea more than anyone else. The second fixture that I'd look at also is United Leicester, again for both teams, not just one. It's a fight for the top four, and only one team can win, right? In that sense, and both would want to win and get their top four in. There's Spurs Palace. I think Spurs are on the resurgence in a lot of ways, and Palace are on a very, very poor losing streak. I think this is a 7-match losing streak. They're without their key defenders. I think Cahill isn't here. Van Aanholt is injured, so that's a fixture that you want to look at. There's City Norwich. I think there's City against anyone else, and then there's City against Norwich. So it couldn't have been planned better, I suppose, for final day fireworks. And there's Liverpool and Newcastle. Obviously, Liverpool's going to be in the thick of things. You saw the midweek fixture, Chelsea-Liverpool, great game. Liverpool were on top. They've just lifted the trophy. They're on a different high. So I think they'll want to finish with a bang as well. And they have nothing to play for in terms of either the FA Cup or the Champions League, right? So in my head, I know these are 5 games already out of the 10 that they'll play, but these are big 5 fixtures. And there's going to be, I think, goals galore in all of these. So yeah, these are the fixtures that I look at.
I'm also going to pick out one more fixture, and I'm going to come to you, Annie. There's Burnley-Brighton. I'm only picking it out because Nick Pope obviously is chasing the Golden Glove. His teammates have already come out in the press and said, it's going to be world-changing and it's going to be really big for him. So we're going to support him with that. Of the fixtures that Bavari mentioned, especially the Chelsea Wolves, the United Leicester, I'm not really seeing too many clean sheets here, So where do you think the defenders are going to come in? Do you think people should be fretting about defenders at all going into this game week?
Honestly, this is a game week where you shouldn't fret about taking a -4. And for the desperate ones, a -8 if you have a triple captain coming in. But they should not waste that on a defender unless you literally have no money left in your bank anymore and you have someone like Trent Alexander and you're going with a big punt, right? So I would say do not waste your time. The defenders are coming to your Burnley game, right? My only worry about Burnley again is that they have injuries in their defense, right? And they went up against a 9-man Norwich and they just about got 2 goals. So I don't know if the teammates will be able to keep up with their wow, right? And moving on to Leicester, Kern. Again, I don't see clean sheets. I see that at least as being a 1-1, 2-2 draw. And United defense is really, again, something we've not really considered besides that golden patch of 3 games of Wan-Bissaka. So I would stay away from the defense of these sides. If you have them in your team and you really think you have no other change to make in your perfect like Kern Bavari, go for a punt and literally take them out for like a Spurs defender, for example. That Chelsea to win against the Wolves side and they're so stubborn. Talking about defenders, Wolves have a really good defense. and a really good keeper to back up that defense.
And Annie, if I may add, I think Karan, sorry, just the one reason that you don't want to focus on defenders this game week is we know from experience for the last so many years now that game week 38 is goals galore, right? So I'd go so far as to say, if you are not playing the bench boost chip, you've got whatever 3.9s that are your starting defenders. Keep 2 or 3.9. You've got to have 3 at the back for sure. Take 4, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. You've got Eric Peters, who's a great guy. Luckily, I drafted him in last week. And he's given me a bumper 12 points, right? And then you've got Ben Johnson at West Ham, who's at a 4.0. There's a Tariq Lamptey who plays not all 90 minutes, but he's a 4 or 4.1. And that's how you make. These are enablers that make you make that midfield and forward line come through, right? And you've got a host of very powerful, very big hitters in midfield that you want to lap up this time. So whether that's Salah, whether that's KDB, whether that's Sterling, whether that's Silva, there's a bunch of them and all decently priced, right? So you want to make space for these guys in your team. So my 2 cents would be do not focus on defense at all. Just make do, patch it up, and be ready for the.
But that would be if you have the free hit, right? I'm just saying for the ones who don't and who can just do a -4. Yeah. This is the max movement you should do around and be comfortable for this game.
So I'm basically going to, I think, just round up the defense part of this by saying do not fret about it. If you have the free hit, then save money in your defense. If you don't have the free hit, let your defense be. Save your transfers for your midfields and your forwards. And then I'm going into the midfield now. And I think the biggest questions here are basically which City assets do you get? Right. For me, if I had to pick David Silva, I think everyone should get him. It's really surprising that David Silva is still only 7.6% ownership. I think that's definitely going to increase by Sunday. But he has 30 points in his last 2 home games. He's up against Norwich. Everyone's going to be looking for him for the ball. It's obvious, seems obvious that he's going to be on all free kicks, on the penalty. If Sterling has an open goal, he might just square it off to David Silva, who's behind him, right? So David Silva is my pick for the midfield. Who's your pick, Bawari, from the City team? And then we'll move on to the others.
So again, I think even Pep can't answer what his team is going to be on Friday versus Sunday, right? So there's no point double guessing. But if you were just to go by minutes, I think both KDB and Sterling have started 6 of the 9 matches. Mahrez looks primed to start, but I am inclined to go to Sterling. I think he's in top form. I've been one of those people who had him for a couple of game weeks, then let him go, and I've sort of been missing out of the last few weeks. KDB I've stuck with, but he's giving you single point returns for the most part, and I think this is largely because he's playing a little deeper, and you'd imagine that a Sterling or a Mahrez or even a Silva now would play a lot further forward. And, KDB for one will make way if he does start for Silva to play for the forward, right? So if I had to pick one with a punt, I'd say Sterling. But if you want to go slightly safer, given the minutes and Pep's rotation, Mahrez could be it. But just because we know that they don't have a fixture anytime soon, they're knocked out of the FA Cup now. Champions League isn't happening for a couple of weeks after that. I think both KDB and Sterling should start. So off the City lot, I think my pick would be Sterling.
Yeah, I mean, Karan, sorry, again, Pep being Pep, this is what logical to all of us logical humans around the world. Knowing Pep and he's like, Norwich, my backup team, my B team is not doing too well. You know what? I'm going to start Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden's Jr. You never know that guy. But hopefully, logically, with what Bawari said is what should happen. I think it was a very good take by him. But I don't know with that guy, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when we're giving City picks, it comes with a huge asterisk, which, everyone sort of has agreed with right now. But I agree. I think Sterling is my pick over KDB as well. And I'm going to look at the other midfielders here, Annie. Till a while ago, United were a triple up surety. Don't look that much right now. I know you said Martial looks better over Fernandes. I still have Fernandes, and I don't think I'm making that switch since I don't have the luxury of the free hit. I'm going to ask you, though, for a team that you love, right? Again, I'm coming to Spurs. As people have come to know, I think Spurs are probably your first team when it comes to the FPL. Son, really interesting pick, and he's only at an 8.3% ownership.
And look, even before Son was injured and he had a red card earlier, he's had good form. He's not been really a problem. He took over the mantle. Just Spurs were overall poor, right? So I have him in my team. Now, if you don't have a Spurs midfielder in your team and you are trying to maybe get into two midfielders, right? Then Son is too expensive for you. Even at 9.6 and 8% ownership, it's not a cheap price. I would then say look at Lucas Moura. He's hit form in the last couple of games as well. And why are you? People are wondering why Spurs and why not just bank three City players and two Liverpool players, for example, if I'm doing a free hit, right? All I'm just saying that look at the way Spurs have been playing, and you look at how Liverpool have been playing and City have been playing. Rotation risk is something else, and Salah's not look too comfortable for me, right? Spurs I know are going to do well. Kane is looking good. I know he's thirsty for the ball. Those midfielders want to get in the ball. So Moura, and if you are really, really, really looking to take a big punt, then Bergwijn. But Bergwijn's not started games.
Yeah, I think that does look like a good pick for Spurs. And I'm going to round off the midfield with my last pick and then see if anyone has anyone else to add to this. Obviously, there's a big question of Mo Salah. He's now 4 goals behind the Golden Boot. Again, as I discussed earlier, maybe Liverpool are just hungover. They've got the trophy now. I'm not really sure they're going to be that hungry in this game. There's no fans to play for anymore in the stadiums. I don't really see that much there, which is why my last slot for that midfield probably goes to Pulisic, because Chelsea have it all to play for. He came on versus Liverpool and he was absolutely on fire, and that's the kind of eye test that you want to pass. So I think Pulisic is my midfield pick. Bawari, any word on any other Chelsea pick or any other midfielder pick, and what do you think on Salah?
So I saw the game, of course, Chelsea v Liverpool, and as disappointing as it was, I think Salah has not been playing very well over the course of the last few weeks. Even last night, he had a few chances. He didn't convert them as well as he would have, but he's got an assist, and you can never say no to Salah. It's his potentially third Golden Boot in a row. I'm not saying he's not capable of scoring 4 goals, but even if he does, that's assuming that Vardy doesn't, or the others before him don't score as much, right? So, it's tricky, but I'd say that he's definitely starting, and that's a big advantage versus, say, Sterling or any of the City boys. But I want to actually focus on Pulisic first, because he didn't play the game before this. He played for about 30-35 minutes yesterday, and that he really made a difference as he came on, right? Whether there was the solo effort with the assist on the left or the finish after. Fantastic player. He's the heir to Hazard, and he's actually no one thought he'd make such a claim for himself, but he's making waves now. So no brainer there. I wouldn't focus very much on any other from a Chelsea point of view. I had Willian on my team for the last 3 games. He hasn't given me very much. So with the host of options available outside, and it's not going to be that easy to score against Wolves, right? So keep Pulisic and then don't worry about other Chelsea assets now.
Yeah, and Pulisic has a very interesting 12.4% ownership right now. So that's not very high. It's still a good one to have with you. You touched upon the Golden Boot, and I think that's the one that I'm going to come to now. That's honestly interesting because some players have more than just the Golden Boot to play for. That is Vardy. But then there's players like Ings and Aubameyang who are chasing, who really don't have anything else to go for. So, Annie, who are your forward picks going into the final? Who are the must-have forwards?
So, like you mentioned in the start of the episode, I will be playing my triple captain. And Bawari rightly said that Sterling should be a midfielder pick to go in the City, right? So, either I would be looking at Kane. So, let's come into the forward. I'll be looking for Harry Kane here. I think he's not in the Golden Boot race, but he's the hungriest out of all the strikers for me. He's someone who really wants to catch up on the poor 18 months he suffered, not because of form, but because of very serious injuries. Those are very serious injuries for him. So I'm definitely looking at the fact that Kane should be in your line. And if not, if you're coming to the Golden Boot race and you again don't have the flexibility of a free hit, Aubameyang is a good pick. He looks in form. He looks lethal. He looks like he can score goals. I'm removing the Aston Villa game out of the way because that's a hangover from, oh my God, we won the FA Cup and beat Liverpool back-to-back, right? And Ings, by default, good price. He's going to get a goal against Sheffield. So, yeah. Ings, Kane, Oba.
I'm going to touch upon one person he's left out there, which is Gabriel Jesus. And obviously, people looking to triple up on City will probably go 2 in defense, 1 in attack. What do you think of Jesus, considering of the top picks, he is the one with the least ownership at 8%. So, of all of these, he also gives you a great differential.
So, I'll just finish that because even if I was not playing my triple captain, the last game week, I don't want to bank on a differential. I want to bank on a guy who I know is going to start versus the team who I know is going to concede. And I think definitely Crystal Palace will concede, Norwich will concede, and Jesus has never given me a 3-goal tally, a 4-goal tally. Sterling has given me 2 goals and an assist, 3 assists if nothing else. And I think he'll outscore Jesus any day. So it's not worth the effort.
Yeah. So, Bhavari, I'm going to ask you, obviously, Kane and Aubameyang getting both in your team plus getting your Sterlings and all is a lot of money, right?
No,
so
sorry,
I'm going to ask
Kane,
you,
if not Kane or Aubameyang. Kane or Aubameyang,
okay.
and then Ings that's my option.
Okay, so and he's basically going more of a 3-5-2 then. So I'm going to ask you then your pick versus Kane and Aubameyang, and who do you think should go along with them? And then I'm going to come to you after that with a differential forward pick as well.
So I think missing Greenwood out from the front three is for me an error. He finds his goals, he scores them. He's hungry. He's on this big stage and he's loving it, right? So
And
he's
he's
an
cheap.
enabler more than anything else. Yeah, that's the biggest, right? And off the lot, of course, I don't love Kane as much as Annie does. So I'd say if I had to pick between Kane and Auba, I'd take Auba just because there is that extra motivation for the Golden Boot. There is this blip, so to speak, with Aston Villa. So they want to bounce back, right? They want to be finishing the Premier League on a high as they go into the FA Cup final. So if I had to draft one of the two in, I'd pick Auba. But Kane's stats look nice. He passed the eye test last week, so it's not like Kane's a bad option at all. Don't get me wrong. And I definitely have Vardy in there because the Golden Boot is all that strikers play for in a lot of ways, right? At an individual level, that's the honors you get. And your 2 goals comfortable. These games are all happening at the same time, which means that you don't know before the game what you need to do, right? So you want to score as many as possible. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy to score against United, but United are porous at the back as well. So I'd say keep Vardy. I'd say if you can, then throw an Aubameyang in before you take an Ings, because an Ings will get you a goal. I think Auba this week has the potential to get you more, and keep Greenwood because he's the enabler. So I think that'll be my front three.
Yeah, I'm going to quickly mention we didn't really discuss this fixture in specific. Arsenal play Watford, where Watford are battling for relegation, so they are going to be out there. They are managerless. But there could be some performance in there for them. They have something to play for, which could then suscept them to being open at the back. So someone like an Aubameyang could then definitely be a great pick. I'm just going to just mention a couple of other strikers with high ownership. Jimenez has 30.3% ownership, and I quite like him against the Chelsea side that concede. They do nothing else, but they will concede, especially going into a game knowing that a draw might not. Actually, a draw will be enough for them, but...
sorry, just one point is that Wolves have seldom scored they've more than 2 goals. It's very tight. They win a very good defensive unit, but they don't hammer teams 3-0 also. Or
it's also it's also about the form, Karan. I know this can change overnight, and they have the extra motivation to play and finish amongst the top, and they want to prove that they can beat the big sides like they've tried to do this season. But I'd say that there are a host of other options available. So if there was a time in the season where Jimenez was our go-to guy, but right now not so much. So if you had to take a punt, you take that punt somewhere else.
Yeah.
You make that money.
Giroud would be a good punt still because he's been in form and he's become a pivotal point for Chelsea's attack. So
yeah. I mean, you're asking me, I'll say yes. But between Jimenez and Giroud right now, definitely Giroud, right? He's cheaper as well. So that always helps because you want to stuff in your attack as much as possible.
Yeah, I think I'm saying Jimenez just because he's in my team and I have no scope to change him right now. I think that's the only reason, but I might still do a Jimenez for Ings swap. That might still be coming. I just hope he scores, more or less. That's it. A couple of just other mention on popular ownership. Greenwood actually has a 26.4% ownership, whereas Rashford has an 18.6%. So Greenwood actually has more ownership than Rashford right now. Another one who is in my team who, if I had the free hit, I would have removed, but might just have to stick with, especially because Leicester do look like they have a leaky defense right now. They have their own set of injuries to deal with. So that might be an interesting one there. But I think largely we're looking at Ings, Aubameyang, Kane, Jesus, Vardy, if you're out there for your front four, for your front 3 picks. So I'm going to come now to the main part of this, the meaty part of this, which makes all the difference. And before that, the differentials. Nee, take it.
Sorry. So yeah, I mentioned earlier, right? I'll start off with. I'll just take the midfield and I'll take the strikers to Bavari. I think it's fair. Let's just keep defenders and keepers out of this for this game week. I think it's a consensus we agree with. It's not worth taking a -4 or a -8 for. Free hitters, go for it. So yeah, midfield. Yes, if you have the money and you believe in it, Son is a good differential. He's only 8% owned. That really will. That's what will matter. I know Greenwood in the forward line is at his price still tempting, but he's 25% plus owned. That's no longer a differential for you. If not a Son, if not a Spurs player, you should look at anyone who's in which was the fixture we were looking at earlier. Man City. David Silva. He has to start. Either has to start or he has to play a good chunk of the game, right? At least plays one half. He will get a goal and an assist. It's written in the stars, right? So Silva and Son.
What are your differential picks?
So differential in the front line, tricky. We've mentioned the names that are likely to score. I'd say, we've spoken about Burnley defensively. If they really want it to be all that good to Nick Pope at the back, I think they'd want to score up front as well. And I think Chris Wood, therefore, is a good differential. I think he's owned by 2.5% of people. He's 6.2. He scored in the last couple of game weeks. Or he's gotten some points. I think he's got 7 and 7. So I'd say if you had to put a gun to my head and pick a forward differential, it'd have to be Chris Wood. But the reason I don't think that there's a need for a differential up top is because usually differentials come at a much lower cost, which Greenwood is anyway giving you, right? So it's not just about making up ground, but also getting in numbers or points from your regulars. And I think, therefore, the front line is sorted out. And like Annie said, you make by getting a Silva in at a 7.4, even if he goes to a 7.5 over the next couple of days, you've made some money there to sort of invest in the big ones. So for me, if you had to pick a differential just because he's a differential, I'd say Chris Wood for Burnley. But I'd say focus on it as far as the midfield is concerned, not so much. And even if you want, go differential at the back because you're saving money there again. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, makes sense. I have a completely differential for this one. It's Podence from Wolves. 0.1% ownership, has started his previous 3 games and got 19 points. Again, Wolves have everything to play for up against a Chelsea team that concede. Hey, you never know. If you really need to dig out from your mini leagues, and everyone's going to have these names that we've mentioned, KDB, Sterling, Silva, Salah, everyone's going to have these names. If you really want to get that switches in, I think that's where the Son comes in. Your Chris Wood comes in and where Podence comes in. And then I'm going to now start with my captain pick, who is honestly still in a differential space somehow. My captain pick for this week is David Silva. City versus Norwich is a game that's going to be like 7-0, 8-0 possibly. And he's going to get, at least as Annie said, a goal and an assist minimum seems there for him. So my captain pick for this week is David Silva.
Yeah, I'll go with Harry Kane. Simple. I'll just leave it at that and I'll move it on to Bavari.
Very tricky. I have it's going to be down to the wire for me. And Sunday afternoons when I decide, but it's going to be between Silva and Sterling. I know I've gone on about Sterling because his form warrants it. It's just about this big massive risk with Pep, right? So for all you know, it's going to be Sterling captain and Silva vice captain. But I just get the feeling that even if he rotates, Sterling can come in the 60th, 70th minute and still get a couple of goals, right? So it's not that off. You miss a point, sure. You maybe miss the clean sheet point, sure. But he'll still get you the goal and assist or a goal or a couple of goals if he comes in late. So Sterling for me, I'm going out on a limb knowing that Pep may not start him. But Karn's chosen the Silva for us anyway. The Silva. He's the man.
Yeah. Perfect. I think that's a great note to end on. We have a host of options for everyone, whether you're looking for a differential, captain pick, triple captain pick, free hit. I think there's something for everyone. This is the last game week in the FPL. Make sure it's a good one. We hope that our tips have helped you. We know they have actually, because our tips have been pretty good. We hope to keep continuing this next season as well. Tweet to us, comment, let us know what you think of our tips. If you have any more questions before Sunday, shoot them in as well. Our Twitter handles are around as always.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Bawari, once again with the thing. And I hope that you finally find a top 50K finish, but you don't go up ahead of me. I hope I do well as well. And I hope Annie stays out of relegation in the mini-leagues. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for other build-ups to this last game week in the Premier League. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.